Hi, welcome to my podcast, Becoming a Cut Flower Grower. I'm your host, Lydia, and I'm here to share my year of growing and selling cut flowers. I'll be giving you the lowdown on everything I'm doing and sharing all the highs and lows, the good times and the inevitable disasters, all in real time. Join me on my cut flower journey, starting right now.
Hello, it's tea time on Tuesday. I think it's the 28th of July. And I am just here feeding the ducks. I thought they haven't featured on an episode for a while. So let's put down some tea, wait for the total silence. There we go, when the pellets hit the ground. There we are. Well, welcome to the episode. Hello, I hope you've had a really great weekend. My last episode on Friday was quite long and quite ranty, all about hose pipes, and I was just generally feeling not 100%. So thank you very much for your kind message of support if you sent one. It does mean a lot to me. So the drought continues apace. Apparently, the south of England has received only 3% of its normal July rainfall, government stats. And we've got about 20 million people under a hosepipe ban at the moment, which is very, very tiresome. And in my particular area, June apparently had a third of its normal rainfall and was the hottest June on record. And the deficit actually started in July when we didn't have loads of rain, but then the first heat waves really started. And it's just generally been pretty horrendous. Now, I collected 1,000 litres of water on Saturday. I told you I was going to go and do that. And it really does feel like cheating. I don't like it at all. It's an absolute godsend, but it's going quite fast, especially with this pump that I've got. And it's very, very easy to romp through quite a lot of water quite quickly. So one of the hoses that's particularly long that goes down right to the end of the roses, the pressure is not as amazing down there. It is amazing, but it's not like as amazing as where I water the zinnias. The hose for that drops right down the length of the slope. And so the gravity really helps push it down the pipe, which is great. So I just do have to be really careful. And obviously I have to keep remembering to take the battery home after every second use to charge it up. But it's definitely helping a lot. So I'm actually flowering a wedding this Saturday. I'm not doing the whole thing. I'm just supplying some bits and pieces to my wedding and event florist. So I'm going to be cutting tomorrow morning for collection on Thursday. That's going to take the pressure off some of the plants because clearly, when they've got stems that are 60, 70 centimeters tall and flowers at the top, it's a lot of energy for the plant to be pumping water around and just generally all the photosynthesis and everything that's going on to support those stems. So I will be very happy to see a lot of those cut down to the ground, and it'll give the plant a bit of a breather. Mulching is continuing apace. I have a whole wheelbarrow full of shavings from the hen house, which are actually going to go out. And then I've got a couple of wheelbarrows full of smashed to pieces leaf mold, which the chickens have smashed up for me. That's all going to be going on the beds as well. And then I've got some bark chips to go on the top. Now, I've managed to find some more IBCs. So the one I bought from eBay, I've had to put a dispute resolution thing in there. I'm not sure. I'm sure I told you about this. I can't remember now, actually. I've got some serious brain fog issues going on, which I'll tell you about later in the podcast. But I bought an IBC from a guy down the road, and then he just wouldn't reply to any of my messages for me to go and collect it. And I have paid for it. So I've had to do like a dispute thing with eBay to try and get the money back. So I did read the reviews, but clearly I didn't either read enough or I was just very unlucky. And this guy is clearly a bit of a pain. So I've got to get that back. So I found some more IBCs for sale with a very nice gentleman who I've actually spoken to on the phone. So I haven't paid anything. It's going to be pay on collection. They are about a 45-minute drive away, which is also a bit of a pain. But this gentleman runs like a kind of a glamping camping place, and he used to keep, or he still does keep alpacas. So he's used these IBCs for the water for them. So I know it's not had anything dangerous in it. And he's on the mains now, so he doesn't need them anymore. And he's selling them for a very reasonable price. So that will kind of offset some of the cost of the fuel in actually going to get them. But I think after the last experience, I'd rather buy from somebody who's been using them for animal use and who is actually able to hold a conversation rather than somebody who isn't. Um, Now, on the field, lots of the seeds are ripening really nicely. So I've let all my sweet peas go a few weeks ago, and they're just literally lots and lots of beautiful seed pods ripening. So I hope that they will ripen before the rain comes. That's the only thing about the rain not being here, one of the upsides anyway, is that the seed pods for things are ripening really amazingly. So the foxgloves are ditto doing the same. So I want to be able to harvest some of those seeds. The peonies are really unhappy now. They are properly sulking. Most of them have just fallen over in a heap and they just hate life right now. Despite all the water that's going on them, it's just really not making enough of a difference. They just hate it. I've got a plan to move the hydrangeas, the limelights, almost, well, not almost immediately, but very soon after we have a significant period of rain. They've also been very unhappy, very short stems. And I actually went to my wholesaler today to have a look at some more hydrangeas to see whether it was just worth buying some in. They'd all come in from Italy and they had had a very, very hot journey. I don't know if they got held up somewhere, but all of the flower heads got burnt to a crisp and have just died and dropped off. So my wholesaler don't even have any limelights in stock with flower heads on at the moment, which is very disappointing. But the hydrangeas are going to move to the vegetable garden, which is just absolutely production on speed on there. The sunflowers are enormous. Everything is amazing. So they're going to move as soon as I can actually get them out of the ground, because of course that will be a huge problem because everything is baked solid at the moment. But definitely need to get those guys moved. The perennials are still fine on the field. Absolutely fine. Things like the Achillea, the Echinacea, the Rudbeckias, Achillea the Pearl, the Oringiums, all of those guys, super robust. The Dianthus, obviously, which just won't die. I've got a Helianthus Lemon Queen, which has been struggling a bit. It's late up this year and also not very happy, but the Agapanthus are loving it. Even the roses are doing absolutely fine, which is a little bit surprising, but they are doing fine. And the eucalyptus is also doing fine. The sedums look a bit anemic, but everybody's do. The ones in my gardens do, my client ones do. So that's just how they're going to be this year. So, yeah, generally speaking, perennials all absolutely fine. It's just the annuals that are coming up now are short. In fact, I'm not even going to do Cosmos ever again. Like, I did them in 2024, which was like my trial beds year. And they were absolutely incredible. They were huge. I mean, just enormous things that kind of just caused me some issues because I really didn't have a clue about staking even back then. And they were amazing. But last year's Cosmos was terrible. I did these fancy apricot ones and they just were absolutely hopeless. And this year's are looking hopeless as well. So I don't think it's down to the seed. I've got some that have come up and they're very, very pretty, but they're all incredibly short. They just look desperately unhappy. And they're clearly just not the right flower for this field. And I get to the point now where I'd rather have plants that just do incredibly well here than try and grow things that just don't, because it is hard enough to keep the things that do like it here going. Never mind the things that are just going to be really fussy. And the Cosmos are clearly telling me that this is not the spot for them. Even though they're in a completely different location, they still just don't like it. So going to forget about those for next year. There's plenty of other growers that do them, so I'm not going to cause any issues by just not doing it myself. The zinnias are also coming up short. Very, very disappointing. I mean, I've been looking after these guys for months. I think they got sown in April, and the babysitting and the cosseting and the water and care and attention and the pinching and the staking and all the rest of it, and then they're just sending up very, very short things, which is annoying. I think I needed to water them much more in the early stages when they got planted out. They did look like they were going great guns for a while, and I thought the heat would absolutely suit them. And, they've branched really nicely, but the flower heads are just really short. And it's annoying because now I've got the pump now. They've been watered with the pump and they've been having plenty of water and they're just not having it. So we'll see when or if this heatwave drought ever ends, what happens to them. And maybe I'll be lucky with I don't know, later flowering. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about those at all. Just super disappointing. Now, in other news, and this is slightly off tangent, but still kind of in the theme of the field, I made my first batch of beetroot hummus on Saturday, and it was absolutely excellent. I don't mind blowing my own trumpet about that. First time I've ever made beetroot hummus, and I roasted the beetroot in the oven, which I was a little bit, I've been putting it off for weeks. Like I've had beetroot ready for ages, and I wanted to roast it to get the sweetness and the flavor from it, but then I didn't want to turn the oven on because it's just, the last thing you want to do in a hot house is just have an oven running, and it's not like venting outside. It's one of those amazing little mini ovens. It's like the size of a microwave, but all of the hot air just gets pumped out the back of it, which in the winter is an absolute godsend. I don't mind roasting anything in the winter, but in a heat wave, not ideal. Anyway, I had to go for it, and managed to peel them and chop them up without staining myself, and that just made the most amazing hummus, like with this gorgeous flavor that was absolutely nothing like you would ever get in the shops. It was mind-blowing. So I'm very, very proud of myself with that. But of course, nothing ever runs smoothly, and I've had some real car dramas over the weekend, and it looks like it's not going to get through its MOT, and I will have to scrap it. It's not even sellable, which is very disappointing because it had a new battery. Just leave it, please. Wait, leave it. Sorry about that. It had a battery about 10 days ago, and then it had 3 new tyres a couple of months ago. So I'm hoping to scrap it and then just take the battery out and take the 3 tyres off in the reception area of wherever I take it to be scrapped. And they'll have to give me a price for the car minus those items because I'm determined to keep them because they're practically brand new. Hopefully, I've got a replacement vehicle in mind, but I'm not going to say anything about that until it actually happens because it feels like if I tell anybody, it's just going to be tempting fate and it will go horribly, horribly wrong. Batch cooking is back. I was so actually, ashamed of myself with the whole frozen sweet corn ketchup meal that I thought is not going to sustain everything that I have to achieve. So I thought I really should make an effort to do some batch cooking. So I have done myself a great big batch of miso beef noodles with some Korean barbecue sauce in there, which is like my latest thing. Makes everything taste amazing. And I'm wading my way through that this week. I will be sick of it by the end of tonight, but it doesn't half take the pressure off when I get home. So that's one crisis averted. And the other issue, this is something that I haven't talked about for ages. So I went through a bit of not a phase, but I mentioned it a few times. I talked about my hormone struggles, my perimenopause issues, HRT, and I know it's not for everybody. And whilst I did get lots and lots of really amazing emails, DMs on Instagram, and messages from people, I know that it's not for everybody. So if it's absolutely not your thing and you hate it, you might want to fast forward just like 1 minute on the episode, and then you'll be back when I'm talking about marketing. But the path with the HRT just does not run smoothly. I was under the impression that once you were taking HRT, that it would just fix everything, and I'd sort of be on a straight and narrow and wouldn't need to do anything else. Everything would just level out and it would be fine. And it does not work like that, unfortunately. I'm sorry to say that if you're also thinking the same. It just does not. There are clearly periods of my life when my body is making certain hormones, and then you kind of have this boost and you feel amazing, like you can achieve anything. It's incredible. And then there are periods of time when my body's clearly doesn't make any hormones whatsoever, and I'm clearly just reliant on the drugs. And then I just have these real lows. I mean, added to the fact that there's also all this heat and drought pressure, and I'm doing far too many things than I should be doing. And so sometimes it's very hard to unpick it and say definitively, yes, it's a hormone problem, and yes, it's just a life problem, because it could just be a combination of the two, which either way, it's pretty deadly. So I've been having some hot flushes at night. That's what makes me think it is a hormone problem rather than a life problem. But believe me, a lot of the life stuff needs sorting out as well. So when I start getting the hot flushes at night and I can't sleep, that's when I know there's a bit of an issue. So I'm tweaking my estrogel at the moment, and hopefully that will level itself back out, because there is nothing worse than having disturbed night's sleep. And there's nothing worse than having hot flushes. They are horrendous. If you've had one, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, let me tell you, they are not very pleasant. But the key point I want to make here is that if you're not feeling right about things, please take some action. Like, don't struggle by yourself, don't put it off. um, take some steps to make some improvements in your life. Now, I'm a huge fan of drugs. I mean, as in prescription drugs. I was very comfortable taking HRT and I love it. And you would literally have to prize it out of my cold, dead hands. There is nothing I would not do to get my HRT these days. But I know it's not for everybody. And there are lots of different things that are advertised or explained about on Instagram or the internet or whatever, about all these different ways that you can counteract your menopause in a more holistic fashion. If you want to do that, 100% do it. Just don't struggle by yourself. And I know it's time consuming and painful in the UK to even get a GP appointment. They do make it extremely difficult for us to do it. But if you just take half an hour and just do it, and then even if they can't fit you in for 6 weeks or whatever, at least that appointment is in there. And you could also ask for a blood test. In fact, you can sometimes just ask for a blood test rather than a GP appointment. I know I can for my local surgery. It might not be the same, but I have just randomly gone onto this complicated website you have to use and just requested a blood test to check my levels. And then you get the results, and then I just normally put them into ChatGPT, and he tells me what he thinks, which is a lot faster than waiting for a follow-up GP appointment. So yeah, the point is, please don't struggle by yourself. Like, Mother Nature is throwing us all these curveballs at the moment. Life is really, really challenging on so many fronts, and I get it. And struggling through perimenopause does not have to be something else that you try and battle through by yourself, because it's really tough. Anyway, let me end on some, let me end on some exciting news for me anyway, which I have also been extremely stressed about and fraught, and that is to do with marketing. So I've been tearing my hair out over this for a significant period of time, well over a year. I mean, not literally, because I don't have very much hair left anymore, which is one of the joys of getting old. And I have been very stressed about it. I learned a lot about it when I did my course with Jenny Marks, the 6-figure flower farming course. She took us through all of these techniques, all of these plans. There was a whole module on it, and I took it all on board, and I was going to make all these plans and do all this stuff. And then I have literally done nothing. And considering all the other things that I adopted from the course, and the fact that, as you know, I'm obsessed with data and spreadsheets, and I collect lots of information, and I do lots of things that I believe are the right thing to do, and I'm very proactive about it, very gung-ho about it. The marketing thing is the one thing that I have never actually managed to get my head around. Anyway, I spent Sunday afternoon with a friend of mine who is a marketing consultant, and she's amazing. And she's actually going to help me with my marketing, because I felt like, and I told her this, I felt like I should be doing it all aspects of the business, and especially the marketing. That's why, because it's my responsibility, it's my business, and therefore I should be taking it on. And of course, all that's happened is I've let myself down. I've let the flowers down. I've let the business down because I haven't been doing it. And I've just completely reversed away from doing it at quite some speed. And then what happens is you have a whole field of flowers that you just can't cope with, because, you just haven't sold them and they're just sitting there, and it's just it feels like all this work has been for nothing. So I am the one letting everything down. And this idea I had that it's my responsibility to deal with all of it, like, my friend was pretty horrified. She was like, it's not your responsibility to deal with every single aspect. I mean, ultimately you are responsible for it, but it doesn't mean you actually have to do it. And of course, she's talking sense. Like, lots of businesses, even small businesses, have staff precisely because the owners either don't have the time or they don't have the skills to do every single aspect of the business. So we discussed it for hours and hours, actually. And we've kind of talked about how she could actually help me and take some of the pressure off and do some of the things that I'm no good at. So what we worked out was that we needed some kind of structure to it. We needed some workflows, basically. So to see what I could do and what she could do. And assigning basically responsibilities to these tasks, and it's actually going to happen now. And it is a huge weight off my mind, like enormous. I feel better already, even though it hasn't even started yet. And hopefully it will free up a lot of stress, a lot of me berating myself and not being kind to myself, and just decision paralysis, which is absolutely fatal when you have a live product like flowers. I mean, if I was selling kitchen taps or sinks or something like that, or bricks or road pins, whatever it is, and I had a whole warehouse full of road pins, it would be not good if I didn't sell them, but it wouldn't be a disaster because they would just sit there for years and years and years and nothing bad would happen. You can't do that with flowers or food or anything, consumables like that, that has a very short life and that will go off, and that, the flowers literally change as the day goes on. So I'm sitting here looking at them going, oh my God, I haven't done anything for you. This is ridiculous. So, it's so important. And interestingly, one of the things that my friend asked me to do was to actually write down these kind of workflows. So every stage of the process of acquiring a new client, for example. So what every single stage is like, from basically even doing the research. That's basically the first step, is the research into what clients are in my area, all the way to the point of getting that first sale. So I've been doing these workflows. And it was actually great just for me to get everything down on paper, because I think I know all of these stages, but when you actually unpick them and really, really get into like the granular detail of how you go about acquiring a new client in the style, I suppose, of the business that I'm operating, which is wholesale to wedding and event florists. That's what I wanted to do. So I don't think you would do something like this if you took your bouquets, if you were selling retail. So if you took your bouquets to a market or to a market stand, I mean, clearly there are certain stages, important stages in acquiring clients, and even in terms of like your branding and how you present yourself and how you start speaking to people and which markets you go to. But you're essentially laying out a product. You're taking yourself and putting yourself right slap bang in front of potential customers. Whereas me, I'm in a field. Nobody knows I'm here unless I actually tell them I'm here and tell them what product I have. And this is where I have been falling down. So to write every single stage of this process of acquiring a new client has been very, very interesting. So I've been looking at what it actually looks like. What would it take to get them? What action follows on from doing this action? Who would be best placed to take that particular step on board? How the data that I collect is recorded and monitored. It's been really, really useful for me to see all of the different stages and see how I would tackle them and what needs to be done in the correct order to result in a sale. And then of course there's all the follow-ups. If people don't want to, maybe they come for a visit and then they don't buy anything, I need to follow up on that and just make sure that I can get all of these stages happening in the right order, in the right way. And this is what my marketing consultant friend, who is an angel sent from the heavens to me, is going to help me do. And then when clients or potential clients are in front of me, it is up to me. And I really look forward to that bit. I can't wait for people to come to the field and to show them around and talk about the flowers and how they could use them and their business and what they're looking for and how I can add value and everything. That is amazing. Getting them here, not amazing. And that's why I'm so excited that this responsibility is now off my desk and on an actual professional person's desk. And I'm sure my friend's going to do an amazing job. So that's one less thing to worry about. So all it leads me to say is for you to have a wonderful rest of the week. I hope everything is good for you. And don't forget that I love hearing from you. Drop me a DM on Instagram or send me an email. It's in the show notes. I always love to hear from you. And please come back and join me on Friday for the next episode. All the best.